There was a time in my life when I was broke, not just financially, but mentally. I woke up every day believing that life had already chosen my limits. I thought wealth belonged to others, the lucky, the talented, the chosen few. But then, one day, a mentor looked me straight in the eyes and said 6 words that changed everything. Your words are creating your world. That moment hit me like lightning. It was the day I realized that the words we speak don't just describe our lives. They design them. Let me tell you something powerful. Wealth doesn't begin in your wallet. It begins in your words. I can't, I'm broke, and I'll never make it is like planting seeds of limitation in your future. I used to say those words every day without realizing I was programming my mind for poverty. But when I changed my words, my world began to change. I started replacing, I can't afford it, with, how can I afford? I stopped saying, I'm unlucky, and began declaring, I am blessed and highly favored. Those new words reprogrammed my thinking, and my thinking reprogrammed my actions. That's how the journey to millions began, not with money, but with mouth. You see, words are spiritual commands. When you speak, you activate something invisible that starts to shape reality. Science calls it the power of the subconscious. Faith calls it the power of belief. Either way, it works. Every word carries energy. It's either pushing you towards success or pulling you towards struggle. The moment I realized this, I began to speak like a millionaire long before I had a single dollar in the bank. I told myself daily, I am successful. I attract wealth. I am worthy of abundance. At first, those words felt like lies, but over time, they became my truth. My actions followed my affirmations, and my results followed my actions. The world listens to your words, even when you think no one's watching. Opportunities began to find me. Doors opened that had been locked for years, and ideas started flowing like rivers. I learned that money is drawn to confidence, and confidence is built by language. Speak weak words, and you'll live a weak life. Speak bold words, and you'll live a bold destiny. If you want to change your life, start by changing your vocabulary. Stop speaking defeat and start declaring victory. Don't say, I hope it happens. Say, it's already on its way. Don't say, I'm trying. Say, I'm doing it. Every great transformation begins with a decision, and every decision begins with a declaration. The words that made me a millionaire were not magic spells. They were words of faith, consistency, and gratitude. Today, I stand before you as living proof that your words can lift you from the bottom to the top. So I leave you with this challenge. Starting tonight, speak only what you want to see. Because your future is listening, and your words are writing the story of your wealth. Words shape your reality and determine your destiny. This truth may sound simple, yet it carries the weight of every transformation story ever told. The moment you open your mouth and speak, you begin to build or break the life you live. Your words are the architects of your world, forming invisible blueprints that your mind and actions eventually construct. Most people underestimate the power hidden in the tongue, not realizing that every sentence spoken carries vibration, intention, and creative force. The universe responds to words, and so does your subconscious mind. What you consistently say becomes what you consistently believe, and what you believe becomes what you eventually live. Think about it. Every invention, every success, every revolution began as words. Someone said, I can do this, and the path appeared. The greatest leaders, creators, and visionaries did not start with money or resources. They started with conviction in their language. They dared to declare what others doubted. They spoke possibility in the face of limitation. Words are not just sounds, they are seeds. When you plant them in faith, they grow into outcomes that mirror what was spoken. But when your language is filled with fear, doubt, and defeat, those same seeds produce weeds of failure and stagnation. If you tell yourself daily that you are unlucky, broke, or incapable, your mind starts to agree. It filters your experiences to prove those statements true. You begin to overlook opportunities, sabotage progress, and attract situations that confirm your words. On the other hand, when you begin to speak words of strength, wealth, and faith, your mind shifts to support that new identity. You start to notice doors you never saw before. People are drawn to your energy, and ideas begin to flow because your inner world has changed. The power of words is that they not only describe your circumstances, they define the boundaries of what you believe is possible. Every time you say, I can't, you close a door. Every time you say, I will, you open one. Your future listens to your present language. Words are declarations of faith, and whether you realize it or not, you are always prophesying your tomorrow. The choice is yours: speak defeat and live small, or speak victory and live strong. The transformation begins the moment you become conscious of what you allow to leave your lips. Watch what you say about yourself, your money, your dreams, and your destiny. Replace complaint with gratitude, fear with faith, and limitation with possibility. When I began to change my words, everything in my life began to align with those new declarations. It wasn't instant, but it was inevitable. The words, I am capable, I am deserving, and I am blessed, reshaped the way I thought, the way I acted, and ultimately the way I lived. The truth is timeless. Your mouth is the steering wheel of your life. Speak what you want to see, because the world you are living in today was built by the words you spoke yesterday. Negative self-talk creates invisible barriers to success. Most people don't realize how powerful the words they say to themselves truly are. Every time you whisper, I can't, I'm not good enough, or I'll never make it, you are silently building walls around your own potential. These words may not be visible, but they are real. They shape your mindset, limit your confidence, and close the doors to opportunities that could have changed your life. The human mind believes what it hears most often, and when you keep feeding it negativity, it begins to accept that as your truth. The tragedy is that most of us are not destroyed by outside criticism, but by the quiet, repetitive voice inside our own heads. When you tell yourself that you're not talented, not worthy, or not lucky enough, your brain stops looking for solutions and starts protecting you from imagined failure. You hesitate, you delay, and you settle for less than what you deserve. Over time, those invisible barriers become so strong that even when opportunity knocks, you don't answer. Not because you can't, but because you've convinced yourself you're not capable. That's the prison of negative self-talk. It keeps you trapped in a small version of yourself. I remember a time when I was drowning in self-doubt. I would look at successful people and think, that's not for me. They're special, I'm not. Those words, spoken repeatedly, became my reality. Every decision I made was influenced by fear, and every risk I avoided was justified by my self-imposed limitations. But when I started paying attention to my inner dialogue, I realized that I was the one holding myself back. Success was never out of reach. I had simply been talking myself out of it. The mind is like a garden. Whatever words you plant in it will grow. If you plant negativity, you harvest regret. If you plant belief, you harvest achievement. The problem with negative self-talk is that it's sneaky. It disguises itself as realism or humility. When you say, "I'm just being honest with myself," what you might really be doing is reinforcing fear. There's a fine line between honesty and hopelessness. True honesty acknowledges challenges, but it also recognizes your power to overcome them. Breaking free from negative self-talk begins with awareness. Listen to the words you say to yourself daily. Would you talk that way to a friend? If not, then why do you speak that way to yourself? Replace "I can't" with "I'm learning." Replace "I'm not enough" with "I'm growing." Over time, your language will begin to build confidence instead of destroying it. The voice that once criticized you will start to encourage you. The moment you silence your negative inner voice, the invisible barriers begin to crumble. Confidence flows in, creativity awakens, and success starts to feel possible again. Your words are either building your future or blocking it. So choose to speak power, not poison. Because when you change the way you talk to yourself, you change the way your life unfolds. Reprogramming your vocabulary transforms your mindset. The words you use every day are not just random expressions. They are commands to your subconscious mind. Your brain listens carefully to what you say, and over time, it begins to adjust your beliefs, emotions, and actions to match those words. When your language is filled with limitation, your thinking becomes limited. When your language is filled with power, your thinking becomes powerful. It's a simple principle that governs an extraordinary truth. You cannot live a positive life with negative words. For years, I used to speak without awareness. I said things like, "I'm so unlucky," "Nothing ever works for me," or "I can't do this." Those statements became my reality. They programmed my brain to expect struggle and disappointment. But when I began to consciously choose empowering words, I started to notice subtle changes. I replaced "I can't" with "I can learn." I swapped "I'm tired of failing" with "I'm preparing for success." Slowly, my thoughts followed my words. I started seeing opportunities instead of obstacles. My emotions became lighter, my decisions clearer, and my confidence stronger. It was as if I had discovered a secret switch inside my mind, one that turned on the light of possibility the moment I changed my vocabulary. Every successful person understands this principle. They know that words are not just communication tools. They are mental software. If your language is full of excuses, your life will be full of limits. But if your language is full of faith, your life will be full of breakthroughs. When you say, "I am confident," your brain starts to search for evidence to support that belief. It recalls past victories, amplifies your strengths, and tunes out doubt. This process is not magic, it's the psychology of self-conditioning. You are literally training your mind through your words. Reprogramming your vocabulary doesn't mean ignoring reality. It means speaking in a way that empowers you to change it. When challenges come, don't say, "This is too hard." Say, "This is preparing me for something greater." When you fail, don't say, "I'm a failure." Say, "I've learned something valuable." This small shift in language rewires your brain to interpret problems as growth instead of defeat. Over time, these positive linguistic patterns create a mindset of resilience and confidence. The most powerful transformation happens when you realize that your words are not simply reactions. They are tools for creation. Every statement you make is a brushstroke painting the picture of your future. When you speak with intention, your subconscious mind aligns with your vision, your actions begin to support it, and the universe responds to your energy. Reprogramming your vocabulary is the foundation of personal evolution. It's about speaking life instead of limitation, victory instead of victimhood. Once you change your words, your thoughts begin to elevate, your emotions stabilize, and your decisions align with your goals. The voice you use daily becomes the force that builds or breaks your destiny. Choose wisely, because your vocabulary today is shaping your reality tomorrow. Speak abundance before you see abundance. This is one of the most powerful principles that completely shifts the way you experience life. Most people wait until they see success to start speaking like a success. They wait until they have money before saying they are wealthy, or wait until they feel confident before saying they are capable. But the truth is reversed. Words spoken in faith create the conditions for the results you desire. You don't wait to see it. You speak it into being. Abundance first begins in your language before it appears in your life. When I was struggling financially, it felt strange to say, I am prosperous. I had bills piling up, debt growing, and no sign of relief. But I kept repeating those words every single day. I wasn't pretending or lying. I was prophesying. I was planting the seed of abundance through my speech, even when the soil of my circumstances looked dry. At first, nothing changed. But over time, my mindset began to shift. I started thinking like a person who had enough, not someone who lacked everything. I stopped focusing on what was missing and started noticing opportunities that were already around me. My language of abundance tuned my mind to the frequency of possibility. The universe responds to the vibration of your words. When you say, I can't, you shut the door on creativity. But when you say, I will, you invite solutions. Speaking abundance doesn't just change your emotions. It changes your energy. People can feel the confidence in your voice. You start to attract relationships, ideas, and resources that align with the identity you speak. It's not superstition. It's psychology and faith working hand in hand. The words you speak create a self-fulfilling prophecy. You act according to the story you tell yourself. If your story is full of lack, your life will reflect it. If your story is full of abundance, your life will begin to manifest it. Abundance is not only about money, it's about mindset, gratitude, and vision. When you say, I am abundant, you're declaring that you have more than enough love, creativity, ideas, and strength to create what you need. You're shifting from survival mode to creation mode. And when your mind operates from abundance, your actions become bold and fearless. You begin to give more, share more, and take bigger steps toward your goals because you believe there's always more coming. That's the secret. The language of abundance opens your heart to receive. The moment you start speaking abundance, even when your hands are empty, something begins to change inside you. Your energy rises, your faith strengthens, and your perspective expands. Life starts to align with your declarations. It may not happen overnight, but it will happen inevitably. So never let your current situation silence your powerful voice. Speak abundance when you feel lack. Speak health when you feel weak. And speak victory when you face defeat. Your words are seeds. Plant them boldly, and you will harvest abundance in due time. Words carry energy that attracts opportunities or obstacles. Every word that leaves your mouth is not just sound. It's vibration, power, and intent. The energy you release through your speech either builds bridges to success or walls that block your progress. You might not see it immediately, but your words are constantly shaping the atmosphere around you. They influence how others perceive you, how you perceive yourself, and how the world responds to your presence. Speak words of fear, doubt, and defeat, and life echoes back the same frequency. Speak words of faith, vision, and gratitude, and that energy begins to pull opportunities toward you like a magnet. Think of your words as signals you send out into the universe. When you talk about lack, the signal you send is one of scarcity, and scarcity finds its way back to you. When you speak abundance, hope, and confidence, you are tuning your energy to attract things that match that vibration. It's not just spiritual talk. It's psychological and practical. People are drawn to those whose words inspire rather than drain. If your language is filled with complaints, negativity, or limitation, it repels collaboration, creativity, and trust. But if your speech radiates positivity and purpose, people naturally want to be part of your journey. That's how doors begin to open. Your words create energy that aligns with your goals. Many people don't realize that opportunities often come through people, and people respond to energy. If your words consistently express pessimism or fear, those around you will subconsciously mirror that energy and withdraw. But if your words carry belief and vision, they awaken possibility in others. You might not have all the resources yet, but when you speak with conviction, you attract those who do. Words can open rooms your qualifications can't. They can make people remember you, trust you, and believe in your dream. The same principle applies internally. When you speak powerful words, you activate a higher energy within yourself. Motivation, courage, and creativity begin to flow. You stop waiting for the right moment because your words create the right mindset.